Hello and welcome to Cutting Edge, a programme made by Sheffield Hallam University students for Sheffield Life. I'm James Williams.
And I'm Nick Wilson. On the programme this week, we found out what the future holds for the High Street in Sheffield.
And we look at how Castlegate is being regenerated and what impact it could have on the city.
Online shopping soared during lockdown as people were stuck at home, and some think this is the future of retail.
The UK economy is recovering, but here in Sheffield many shops stand empty. So what does this mean for the high streets? I've been finding out. Once the flagships of the high street, now empty buildings. Online retail has long been squeezing out physical shops, made worse by the pandemic lockdown. Internet shopping has increased to a record level, rising by more than 15% on the previous year. So is shopping a thing of the past in Sheffield?
I work full time and I also have kids, and it's just easier to shop from home than to take them out.
I prefer the high street, but unfortunately the high street are locking down now, so we do online mainly now.
I do a lot of my shopping online. Shops like ASOS, Urban Outfitters, a lot of online shopping. I think the vast majority of people nowadays do online shopping.
I now do most of mine online. The high street is not very appealing at the moment.
Dr. Drew Woodhouse is an economics specialist at Sheffield Hallam University. He says there has been a decline over the last few years.
Regions like Yorkshire, with local cities like Sheffield and Leeds, they have the short-term issue around getting over COVID, increasing their footfall in terms of people on high streets. But there's also the longer-term effects of what we saw before COVID. Particularly around the issues of lack of investment, areas need redeveloping, basically a lack of investment from central government.
There are hopes local businesses could rise out of the ashes, but with many working at home, there is no one in town to do any shopping.
The biggest contributor to the local economy and footfall on a high street is people working in local industries in the local area. And we've seen with some service sector based workers, we've got government officers over there, they're still working online, so by definition they're not on campus, they're not in the city centre.
The high streets do exist for now, but for how long? James Williams, Cutting Edge. Sheffield's history is about more than steel and music. It also has a castle. Don't worry if you didn't know that. There has been a car park on top of it for the last half-century.
But now the concrete is gone. Archaeologists have already uncovered a great deal of it, and now the city has a multi-million-pound grant to rejuvenate the whole Castlegate area. Jacob Kilmer reports.
The Castlegate area has become somewhat neglected over the years. However, a multi-million-pound grant could change all of that. The area is the location of what used to be Sheffield's castle. The castle ruins could clearly be seen here up to World War II, until it was accidentally bombed. Since then, it has been hidden under buildings, but in recent years, archaeologists have been uncovering its secrets, and it is now being recovered, as plans are to bring it back to the city for the public to experience Sheffield's history.
The council have been successful in winning some funds from the government's Levelling Up Fund, and 16 million pounds will be allocated to this site. Just here, it doesn't quite look very exciting at the moment, but underneath that concrete cap is the gatehouse of the old castle, which was built in the 13th century. And that exists underneath the surface, as do other remains around the site, which we're hoping to excavate and showcase and interpret as part of a public realm in the future.
The money from the government will go to more archaeological work and regenerating the area, with the castle as its centrepiece. The hope is that people in Sheffield will become a bit more familiar with Sheffield's history before becoming the Steel City. Jacob Kilner, SHU News.
To tell us more about the plans is Dr. David Clark from Friends of Sheffield Castle. Hello, David. The council has secured a significant sum of monies to put towards the future of the site. What will it be put towards to help improve the castle?
That money apparently is going to be split into 3 different areas. First of all, you know that the castle was built alongside the River Sheaf and the bit where the River Sheaf meets the Don. So that section of the River Sheaf, which is currently underground, you can't actually see the river, covered by a huge concrete culvert that was built in the Victorian period. That is dangerous and it's about to collapse. So some of the money has been allocated to actually remove the lid from the River Sheaf. So you'll have the castle site with the river alongside it, which is brilliant for future development. And that is the beginning of what you may have heard called the Megatron, which is like the massive underground storm drain that was built in Victorian times, which runs from there backwards along the Sheaf under the Midland Station and out to meet the Porter Brook. So that's going to be, there's money for that. And there's money for the creation of like a pocket park. So the bit next to the Sheaf itself, the actual historic castle site, which we know dates back to the 12th century. There's some amazing archaeology there. So there will be money for that to be excavated, not all of it necessarily, but the bits where there's going to be hopefully some of the remains on display, all set in part of sort of like a very sort of green sort of park area that's going to be open to the public. And the third bit of money is going to go for the creation of what they're describing as developer plots, and there's going to be 6 of these, and they're spaced around the castle site. They're going to be in areas where we know there's very little archaeology. So they're going to be plots that are basically created and made available for businesses, and also public institutions. I mean, I think Sheffield College are interested in one of the sites. So they're going to be like for development.
Did you expect the funding, as earlier signs suggested, limited or no investment?
Oh, I've got to say we were all pretty despondent about our chances of getting the money, because this seems to have been going on now for so long. I mean, I was looking back. I went to a workshop that the City Council Castlegate Committee organised back in November, and they ran through there how long this has been going on. It started in 2014, and as I said, there was an earlier bid to the Heritage Lottery to do exactly what we're doing now, and that wasn't successful. And there's been a lot of frustration in the city that why is nothing happening down there? Why is it just being left? You know, this sort of area of sort of concrete that no one wants to go and visit. So I've got to say we were absolutely overjoyed, and it's down to the bid writing that was done by the City Council. There's a planning officer there who put the whole bid together, and he used the blueprint that we'd actually created at Friends of Sheffield Castle, which has got lots of ideas about how the site can be redeveloped, and obviously it obviously had an effect down in London, because they're keen to sort of spend some money. The whole point of levelling up is to help cities like Sheffield and surrounding towns that have been left behind in terms of like being supported for infrastructure projects, to actually allow us to get a rung on the ladder. And if you've got to think about this in the long term, if this project actually comes off, I mean, it's going to take years for this for the plots to be redeveloped, and we still don't know whether there's going to be money for a visitors centre, that kind of thing. But the whole thing is it's about opening up that site of the old castle.
Thank you, Dr. David Clark, for your time. There's very interesting developments going ahead.
Cheers.
Bye. Sheffield City Council's plan to create a clear air zone is well underway. They've been granted £20 million for pollution-reducing upgrades.
Dorothy Brown has been banned from performing at Sheffield City Hall. The comedian, who is known for his racist and homophobic material, was due to appear in January.
The Women's 2022 European Championships is set to kick off this summer. Bramall Lane will be host to 4 fixtures, including the tournament's semi-final. Climate change is a story that simply won't melt away. Britain hopes to become carbon neutral within the next decade, and that includes Sheffield, the UK's greenest city.
With global warming fears continuing to rise, we discovered the small changes we can all make to help save our planet. Elliot Richardson reports.
From grey to green, it's hard to believe this is the Steel City. With climate change becoming a global problem that will require a global solution, cities across the UK are trying their best to become carbon neutral. The Botanical Gardens located in Sheffield is a prime example of green space, helping the city claim the title of the greenest in the UK. With steel factories being swapped for community gardens, we saw if residents of Sheffield were happy with their city's new title.
I think it's great. You wouldn't have thought it from sort of the history of Sheffield with the steelworks, but yeah, it's fantastic that we're moving forward.
I'm quite surprised about Sheffield being the greenest city in the country, but then when you think about how many parks and greenery there are around, you've got the Peak District as well, it does sort of make sense.
Having a variety of green space isn't the only way to help prevent climate change. There are small tasks we can all do to bring about change. These range from being energy efficient by turning off our lights when not in use, to recycling our plastics. Alone, these tasks will make a minor dent in the larger problem, but by getting everyone involved in the movement, we will begin to see real change.
It's the connections between people, the realisation that we can do something that empowers people.
With an imminent reaction needed by the population, it's hoped that by challenging our way of life, a change in lifestyle will ensue.
To actually challenge people, how low can you go? How good can you live? Rather than how much harm can you cause? How much can you consume? And that narrative hasn't changed yet.
With Sheffield setting the benchmark for all cities across the UK, it's clear we can all do a little bit more if we hope to succeed in the battle to save our planet. Elliot Richardson, reporting for Cutting Edge.
Next tonight, Sheffield is known for its rich football history. The Steel City is home to the world's oldest club.
But now Sheffield FC is very much focused on their future. We sent our reporter George Sanderson to find out more about the plans for this historic club.
This is an unfortunately common sight in semi-professional football. A waterlogged pitch has led to another match being called off for Sheffield FC. Recognised by the FA as the world's first football club, they currently play their matches in the town of Dronfield, outside of the city they call home. But Sheffield FC are set to move back to where it all started. And it's here at Sheffield Transport Sports Club where the new home of Sheffield FC will be built. The new site will contain a 4,000-seater stadium, heritage centre and training academy. I spoke to manager Ryan Cresswell about the importance of the move for the club.
Yeah, it's massive. I mean, hopefully that'll attract more fans and the club can just keep building and getting bigger and bigger because the infrastructure of the club, the business side of the club is something that can be quite huge, to be honest. So let's just get it right on the pitch, hope that the team can match that of the club and then stands in good stead.
Club legend Matt Roney has made over 500 appearances for Sheffield FC and is excited about the future.
I mean, it'd be massive for the club, for the city, and for everyone involved really. Obviously, it's only a mile up the road, but it would be great to be back in Sheffield.
Yeah, whilst Meadowhead Roundabout might be its busy self, the club are confident that their plans won't get stuck in traffic. They hope to create a place of pilgrimage, drawing football fans from around the world to right here at Meadowhead Roundabout once this new stadium is built. And these plans tie in with other developments around the city as well. A football museum was one of a series of suggestions for the future of the old John Lewis store at Barker's Pool. Should both of these moves go ahead, it will really help in giving Sheffield its deserved title of the home of football. George Sanderson reporting for Cutting Edge in Sheffield.
The joy and celebrations of the festive period are over, and it's back down to earth with the cold and blue of January.
Yes, I can identify with that. Lots of people struggle with the January blues. but I've been finding out ways to overcome those negative feelings.
It all seems like so long ago. The excitement of Christmas, the run-up to Santa coming down the chimney, the festive feasts we all indulged in. But now it's turned into the dark and the blue of January, as we get the Christmas hangover of the January blues. But why do we get them?
The scientific reasons of not having as much sunlight, it being colder, not having as much contact with friends and family, obviously happens over the winter months. It's been particularly difficult over the past few years.
Scientists believe that being in nature can have a profound impact on our brains, helping to reduce stress and depression.
January and February are always my least favourite months of the whole year, because when you've got these sorts of when you've got October and November and the sort of beginning of December, it's like what gets you through all the really dark mornings and dark nights and all the coldness is looking forward to Christmas. And then once that's over, you've basically then got months until summer, which is like the next big thing that people look forward to.
I met with James Bird, a student in Sheffield, who talks me through how he deals with his mental struggles.
I feel like the way I've managed to cope is through physical exercise. I go running, and it really helps clear my mind, my mental health, and really by the end of it, I'm feeling a lot more better about myself.
A 2018 study showed that people who exercised experienced 43% less days of poor mental health than individuals who didn't exercise. I spoke to Olympic runner Laura Waitman for her opinion on running and exercising for mental health.
Getting out and doing something on your feet, whether or not that's a walk, whether or not that's a walk jog, or whether or not that's just a jog, following things like the Couch to 5K or going to a park run or meeting a friend. It's those types of things that during challenging times, especially during COVID, when people are working from home more, the power of running, the power of movement and sport is actually incredibly important for everyone. And I know myself, if I've had a bad day, I go for a run and I instantly feel better.
January can be a hard time for most, so make sure to check in on your loved ones this winter, whether it's a Zoom call or inviting them round for a good old cup of tea. Nick Wilson, Cutting Edge.
Now, many businesses struggled over lockdown, but for others it was an opportunity. Joe Taylor started his marketing business before the pandemic.
As we switched to working online, Joe saw his business go from strength to strength, and he joins us now down the line. Hello, Joe. Talk us through what your business is and what it kind of does.
What it does, yeah. So eGrowth Media, so social media marketing agency. So we predominantly work with like estate agents, property professionals across the UK, and now moving over into the Spain market. So what we do is we in essence help them generate more leads. So whether it's like seller leads, buyer leads, investor leads, we help them do that through the use of Facebook advertising. Three main services that we offer: social media management. So we manage and grow accounts organically, whether that be Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. We do Facebook and Instagram advertising. So, the sponsored posts that you get on your timeline and your stories, we in essence help create them. And the third package that we offer is like content creation. So we've got a graphic designer who works for us. He creates all the posts, the stories, the informative graphics and that kind of good stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much the business.
Why did you decide to set it up?
Yeah, so I used to have an events company called EJ Events. So did that so I was going to go to, I'll give you a bit of background to the story. So I was going to, left college at 18, got my A-levels, was going to go to university, decided to take a gap year, did a bit of traveling, and then started an events business with my best friend. So it was called EJ Events, and we were doing like corporate events and team building. Obviously COVID happened, so we had a big event planned. It was the Victory in Europe day. So we've been planning that for like 8-9 months. Obviously it went tits up. So what happened was I thought, actually, what can I learn a new skill in lockdown? So I learned how to like run Facebook ads. Never knew you can make a business behind it. And then, pretty much learned. I got mentored by a guy called John Platten, who's like one of the biggest Facebook ad experts in the UK. And just pretty much got taught from him how to start a social media agency. And then, that was pretty much the real. I wanted to learn Facebook ads, and lockdown kind of forced my hand, really.
What plans do you have for the future of your business?
The business going forward, so we're at 6-figure status at the moment. Now I want to go to multi-6 figures. My plan is to expand the office that we've got here in Leeds, and then eventually move over into like the Spanish real estate market. So potentially set up an office in Spain would be pretty cool, and then try to dominate both markets really. So definitely want to be hitting that £1 million status in couple of years.
Thanks for joining us, Joe. Much appreciated.
Yeah, thanks very much.
That's all for this week. Thank you for watching Cutting Edge. Goodbye.
Goodbye.